Hi there, it's Mary Charlson here from 5minutemarketing.com, coming to you from Banff, Alberta, and just finished attending the Cult Gathering, which is a conference about cult brands and what makes them tick. So I'm just doing a quick summary here for you on some of the insights. And first off, why do companies want to be a cult brand, or how do they get launched as one? And there's a few compelling reasons. Number one, above average brand attachments. I mean, they basically have fans, not customers. They have above average word of mouth and above average margins as a result, because their customers are basically doing a lot of their advertising for them. They spend less on mass media ads because basically they earn a lot of coverage, both online as well as through traditional media. They do few or no promotional markdowns. They have above average internal productivity because basically their staff love them and they love working there. They're motivated. And above all, they have the ability to demand a desirable price point. And that really came through loud and clear with all the examples that we took a look at. So I've come up with a couple, what I call the 5 common threads, which I noticed while we were meeting with these various CEOs and marketing directors. First off, they have a huge purpose. They stand for something. They have a vision. Why are they there? What's their purpose? What's their why? Airbnb was to create a world where everyone can belong anywhere. Lush is about creating cosmetic revolution to save the planet with their naked products and, shampoo, removing shampoo bottles from the market. Orange Theory was about changing people's lives. You give people a long and vibrant life. And Swell was one I just attended this afternoon, and basically rid the world of plastic bottles was their big driving purpose. And that's when they launched a fashion accessory hydration product, otherwise known as a water bottle. But what a story behind that. So that was the first one, have a purpose. Second was they disrupt the space and defy their category norms. We saw this with both the way that they disrupt the advertising as well as the distribution, the pricing, the product. They're basically disrupting their space compared to their competitors. Dollar Shave Club did that with their distribution and their pricing, although they're not here this weekend. But Airbnb did that. They challenged hotels. They basically created a new category with it, which is the sharing economy. And we've seen Uber also benefit by that disruption as well. Lush basically took a stand, right? We see this. They disrupt and they take a stand. Sometimes it's politically. And Lush stood up for trans rights, gay rights, most recently got themselves into a little bit of a media frenzy around their Valentine's promotion, where they had 2 women in a bubble bath together. And her response, the product global manager's response was, have we not reached a point in time where this just isn't normal? And so, they took a stand, and not everybody loved it, but the ones that did makes them even more attached to the brand. So that was the second one, disrupt the space. The third was a compelling thing around story. Have a story and involve your customers and your employees in that story. And it basically comes down to creating experiences and stories that are customer driven, that the customers will go out and share for you. Orange Theory was a great example of that. They're More Life. They did a series of More Life videos featuring customers. Heidi was a gal who was getting over some mental health issues, various tragedies in her life, and basically how she saw Orange Theory as a company that helped save her and give her life back. That's pretty compelling things. Airbnb, Yeti were other ones that were featured as well. Yeti coolers, pretty cool story around the indestructible cooler and the brand advocates that they've created. The fourth one was employees as evangelists, and create a culture internally where there's buy-in. It's not just a coincidence that cult brands also rank high for a desirable place to work. Lush, a lot of their campaigns and their ideas for promotions come from within, from their employee base. Swell, everyone who works there is driven by purpose. They want to remove plastic bottles from the planet. They want to make it a more sustainable world, and that's a pretty compelling thing to keep your employees happy. And the final one was be personable. Basically, be more human, right? That's what we've been talking a little bit about last week as well. These companies, these cult brands, they don't push ads. They're not doing things, they're not shouting out there. They create experiences and they let their customers talk about them. It's word of mouth, both online as well as off. Lush said on average 50% of their social media is customer created content and stories about their product. Wow, think about that for a minute. There's a reason why these cult brands are not buying ads. It's because they don't need to. Orange Theory, 60 to 70% of the sales come from their members. Think about that. That's a category that used to be kind of like used car salesmen, right? It's, you know, pushing gym memberships. They're not being driven by employees trying to earn commissions. They're getting their members by allowing their existing members to spread the good story for them. 60 to 65% of sales coming from membership based. And Tony Hawk Foundation, world-renowned skateboarder, Birdhouse Skateboards. He was the closing keynote last night, and just exude the whole thing around personal branding and being more personable. He does his own social media. The guy's got 3.5 million followers on Instagram, but when you tag him, he responds back, and he responds back in a way that you know that it was actually based on the engagement that you had with him. Because I had a bit of a fangirl moment with him after I'd asked him a question at the end of the session on stage, and we made a little connection there around the future of skateboarding and in the Olympics. So, and also I went down back into his Instagram, and that's where you find his posts about his 93-year-old elderly mom who's got Alzheimer's, and how he talks very genuinely around what he does on a day-to-day basis and the importance of family and connection. And that's when you realize that he's living the values of his brand. Now, the Tony Hawk Foundation raises funds to help build skate parks in places where there's disadvantaged youth in inner cities. And so he's got a great brand mission there as well. So all of these things, these cult brands, what we saw is culture was so important. It comes from the top. That's where the buy-in is. But it also doesn't fit neatly in this existing marketing department and agency model. And that's the thing that I found so interesting, right? Just wasn't a normal marketing conference. This was about breaking the existing system. These cult brands don't buy ads. They have social media and they have word of mouth. And they get earned media because they have raging fans and brand evangelists that do it for them because they want to tell the story and share that brand's purpose. At the very end session with Swell, I had an opportunity to have a little bit more of an in-depth conversation with Kendra Peavy, who's the VP of Global Communications for Swell, which basically shifted the whole bottled watered company positioning, right? You know, it's a bottle, but really it's a bottle that helps save us from littering our globe with plastic water bottles. And she talked about in 2008, they got 10 billion impressions, media impressions. Think about that. 16,000 pieces of, or sorry, 1,600, excuse me, it's still a lot, 1,600 pieces of earned content and 10 billion impressions. And thousands of fan-based social media shares as well. And I think that's really kind of what was the final thing for me here, is how these cult brands have generated a story based on purpose and got a fan base to really go out there and share their story for them. So signing off, heading out to Lake Louise to do a little bit of skating this afternoon. Thanks for joining us.